Hello and welcome to the U.S. immigration news. For many waiting on a green card, an Employment Authorization Document, EAD, or that final step toward U.S. citizenship, the promise has always been, if I do the right things, follow the rules, keep working, keep my status current, eventually I'll arrive. But in November 2025, your immigration timeline just got more complex. In this video, we'll talk about what's really happening with green cards, EAD renewals, H-1B visas, and even citizenship applications, how the latest changes from USCIS and the Trump administration are affecting your wait, your work, and your peace of mind. If you are liking this video, please hit the bell button, subscribe, and like it so that you may get updates straight to your smartphone. Now let's get into the video. For years, one of the few reassurances in this long immigration process was the Employment Authorization Document, the EAD, a small piece of plastic that carried enormous peace of mind. If your card expired, you could rely on an automatic extension that kept you working while USCIS processed your renewal. But that has now changed. As of October 30th, 2025, the Department of Homeland Security officially ended the automatic EAD extension for most applicants. That means if you filed your renewal after that date, your right to work ends the moment your current card expires, unless your new one is already approved. There's no longer a 540-day safety cushion. For countless families, that rule change landed like a storm. Imagine you've been working legally for years, your green card is pending, and suddenly you're told you can't keep your job because your renewal is still in review. You didn't break the law, you didn't miss a deadline. The rules simply changed beneath you, and now you're left in limbo, unsure when you'll be allowed to work again. This change doesn't exist in isolation. It comes as the Trump administration moves deeper into its 2025 immigration agenda. One built on tighter vetting, more document checks, and slower reviews. Inside USCIS, cases are being scrutinized with new intensity. Across the National Visa Center, interviews are being delayed as consulates reintroduce pre-screening measures and additional background reviews. The result is clear: everything is moving but slower. The November 2025 Visa Bulletin confirms that reality. For employment-based green card applicants, the Department of State reported little to no movement in priority dates, especially for India, China, and Mexico. Family-based categories also saw stagnation. The lines are long, and the finish line seems further than before. And with the automatic work permit extensions gone, those still waiting are now caught between status and uncertainty. Even H-1B professionals, once considered the most stable group in the system, are feeling the pressure. The administration has proposed a sharp increase in employer fees, reportedly up to $100,000 for certain companies, alongside tougher wage compliance and site inspections. The message from Washington is unmistakable. The U.S. will continue to welcome skilled talent, but only under tighter controls, higher costs, and stricter verification. For many immigrants, this new environment feels like a quiet tightening. Not an open crackdown, but a gradual constriction of every small assurance they once had. You can sense it in how cases move, how notices are worded, how interviews are scheduled. There's a tone of caution inside USCIS that wasn't there before. Officers are encouraged to question more, verify deeper, and rely less on past leniencies. Let's step back and understand the human cost. When you remove the automatic EAD extension, you aren't just changing a form. You're interrupting lives, families depending on a paycheck, employers depending on their workforce, children depending on medical insurance that might now lapse. These are not faceless statistics. These are people whose only mistake was being stuck in a system that already moves painfully slow. Add to this the new climate around citizenship applications. The administration has revived discussions about expanding the good moral character standard, possibly including new written components or civic literacy testing in the naturalization process. The focus is on evaluating not just eligibility, but what officials call ideological alignment, a phrase that many immigrant advocates fear could introduce subjectivity into what was once a straightforward review. So when we talk about your immigration timeline getting complicated, it's not just about months and charts. It's about a growing sense that the process itself has become unpredictable. Even when you follow the law precisely, you may find yourself waiting longer, answering more questions and facing new hurdles that didn't exist when you started your journey. If you're in this situation right now, waiting for your EAD, counting days until your priority date becomes current, or preparing your citizenship paperwork, you're not alone. But it's time to be proactive. If your EAD expires soon, file your renewal as early as possible, ideally months before expiration. If you're eligible for adjustment of status, prepare your documents thoroughly. And if you're on an H-1B visa, work closely with your employer to ensure every compliance step is up to date. This isn't a season for waiting casually. It's a season for being prepared. Because under the current administration, predictability is no longer guaranteed. Preparation is your only protection. Through all of this, remember that the system, however difficult, is still moving. People are still being approved. Families are still reuniting. New citizens are still taking the oath every week. The process may be slower, but it hasn't stopped. The road may be longer, but it still leads to the same destination. Again to recap. If your EAD renewal is filed on or after October 30th, 2025, you lose the safety net of automatic extension, which means your lawful work stops if your renewal lags. If your green card category is already backlogged, especially employment-based preference categories for India/China or family preference categories, you face longer waits and less predictability. If you're aiming for citizenship, the combination of a slower green card process plus reduced work authorization safety net plus heightened scrutiny means you'll need more time and more preparation than ever. If you're on H-1B, employer compliance, wage requirements, timing to file your permanent residency petition, all of that now carries greater weight in the changed environment. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration News Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas, such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H-1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the U.S. Immigration News Channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.